Hi guys, my name is Lucia and today I'm going to be filming a products I have hit pan on video, which is a real throwback for me because I used to film these videos quite often. I'm not actually sure how many I have on my channel, but when I did film them, they were within all a couple months of each other. I'm going to link my last one down below. I honestly cannot remember the last time I filmed one. It was probably a year ago. If you watch my channel, you will know that I used to be really into project panning back when I was starting to shift my perspective of my makeup collection. So after my makeup addiction, after I realized that I had a lot of things that I didn't like and I was lusting after too many things, I wanted to focus on my collection and focus on the things that I had. So I started to project pan. And because of that, I started to have all this pan on these products because I already owned products that were pretty old and that I found pretty easy to hit pan on, or I just used them every single day, but since I had had them for a year, it didn't take much to hit pan on them when I was using them every day. And so I would often feature a lot of products in these videos. And the reason I haven't done one of these in so long is because there are a lot less things in my collection that I have pan on, pretty much because all of the stuff, and I'm talking all of the stuff that I had pan on from before, I either used up. If it was a face product, I used up all that stuff, and most of the eyeshadow palettes that I had pan on, I decluttered because they were old and I didn't like them. I have a ton of decluttering videos. I will link my playlist of declutters down below. Basically, I wanted to come back here and I wanted to show you right now the products in my collection that I have pan on, and it's very different. I don't own a lot of makeup and I don't own a ton of palettes, but I don't focus so much now on hitting pan. I know a lot of people think that I dig into my pans. I have never done that. That is a rumor and a myth and a lie. I just don't care as much about hitting pan. Like before, I would use a product more consistently because I wanted to hit pan, and seeing a pan really motivated me, and I'm not quite sure that it motivates me the same way that it used to because I'm no longer in an unhealthy place. I use most of the stuff I have every single day, and so it doesn't feel as successful when I hit pan because I use it every day. But I still do like to hit pan, and I want to show you the stuff I have hit pan on. We will start with the two things that are not eyeshadows. The first thing is the Maybelline Fit Me Powder Set and Smooth in the shade 120 Classic Ivory. I have gone through, I think this is my second one of these. As you can see, I have a lot of pan. This is what I use to set all over my face. It does get a lot of hard pan. I often have to either scrape it or put tape on it. I'm not sure if that's the product's fault or if it's just that I go in with a sponge sometimes and the way I apply it makes it have hard pan, but I really like this powder. I don't use as much powder as I think I used to just because my skin is so dry, and if you watch my channel at all, you will hear me complain in literally every video how dry my skin is. I go to college up north, and when I moved here, just my skin freaked out. But I do like this product. I will probably be repurchasing it again. I have a lot of loose powder right now that I would like to go through, but nothing really compares all over my face to this, so we shall see. And the other product I have pan on is a blush. This is the Tarte blush in Exposed. Do you guys remember when this was like the most popular blush on YouTube? It is really beautiful. I am wearing it today. I have been wearing it for this entire month because it was in my Shop My Stash. Actually, I think it's been 2 months because I didn't do a Shop My Stash for March. But this is just a really nice nude blush. It isn't that hard to hit pan. The pan is pretty shallow. I have experienced hard pan, so that is why the texture of this looks like it's scratched. It is scratched, so I had to scratch off the hard pan, but I really enjoy this. I would love to use this up one day, but I definitely still have so much product, and I'm not too concerned about getting it out of my collection. I clearly use it a lot. Next for palettes, this first one is from the Colourpop Dream Street palette. I did declutter that in one of my most recent declutters, but I kept the shade Moony. I believe it's Moony, and I will give you a swatch of it. I'm not going to swatch everything, but since this is the only shade from this palette that I have, I might as well. So this is a swatch of it. It is a really nice, subtle highlight shade. It is really pretty to put on your brow bones Inner corner, yes, it's very subtle, so I tend to like something more intense, but the reason I kept this and not the rest of the palette, didn't love the whole palette, but I really like this shade, and if you watch my channel, you'll know that I am going to Europe for 6 months later in the year, and I love subtle highlights, and the subtle highlight that I own, the Laura Mercier one, is really large, and this is tiny. So this is the highlight that I'm going to bring with me. It is this tiny little itty bitty pan. I have it right now in this Anastasia quad, but I will probably just put it in a little plastic thing that is meant for a single shadow, and I will take it with me. So that is that product. I used it a ton when I first got the Dream Street palette. Haven't used it a lot since, but I know that I'll either almost use it up or completely use it up when I am abroad. And for anyone wondering, because I know I will get this question, I am backpacking throughout Europe for 2 months, and then I am landing in Paris and I'm studying there for the semester. All right. The next product I have to show is the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette. The Zodiac palette. I talk about this palette all the freaking time because I love it. It is so good. The only thing is I wish the packaging was a little smaller, but it is really good, and I have hit pan in 2 shades. The matte shades don't have names, but I'm just going to call them the matte shades of what the shimmer shades are called. So this is Matte Scorpio, and this is Matte Aquarius. Matte Aquarius is a just light brown that I use in nearly every look that I do as a crease shade, unless I'm doing a pink purple look, then I will use this. But it is just a really nice universal shade. The mattes blend so well in this palette. They are really, really high quality. And the other shade is the shade Scorpio. I'm gonna swatch this because to me this shade is really unique. It is a brown. It has a very interesting undertone. I don't know if it's going to come across on camera, but it has this red bricky undertone to it. It's super, super unique to my collection. So there was a minute there when every single look I did was using that color. And if you'll be able to tell, I do have a lot of dips in the other shades. The baked shadows would be really, really hard to hit pan on because they are baked. I have shaved off the dome on a lot of these shadows that I have used again and again, but I don't expect to really ever hit pan on those shadows. But I really like this palette. I would really recommend it. Next we have the Bad Habit Aphrodite palette. This is from the Hush website. I did a gigantic Hush website review where I reviewed a ton of products that they had sent me. This is the only palette that I ended up keeping. I didn't enjoy a lot of the palettes, but this one I think is really, really nice. I have pan in 3 of the shades. I have pan in the shade Koi, which is almost my lid shade. It's a little bit darker, but it still works as a highlight, which is how I use it, a brow bone highlight. I have pan on the shade Lust, which is this red, and then I have pan on the shade Tease, which I use as an inner corner highlight, and I use that a lot even when I'm not using this palette for a look. It's a really pretty inner corner highlight, and I will reach for this palette just for that to use with other looks. I also do have dips in a lot of the other shades. I really like this palette. I know that a couple weeks ago, the Shop Hush website was selling everything on their website for half off, so I don't know if this is available anymore. I don't know if they discontinued everything and revamped everything, but if you can get this and you are really, really wanting it and you've always been curious, I think go for it. Definitely not something you need. You don't need anything in this video. Your collection is perfect the way it is. But if you were curious about this, I do like it and is the only eyeshadow palette from that website I would recommend. I just like that you can get a lot of different looks. You can get some warm toned looks. They have some cooler toned shades. The mattes are definitely not the most pigmented. Like this red shade, I wouldn't use that all over my lid to do a matte red look. I don't think it would show up that well, and I know it wouldn't because I have tried that before, but as an outer corner shade, which is what I do use this for, it's really nice. And the last thing is my Z palette with my Colourpop single press shadows. I do have a video of everything that is in this. I will link that down below. Since that video, I have decluttered a couple things from this palette, and I think one thing is new, but for the most part, it's the same in that video. And the 2 shades that I have pan on, the first one is the shade Popular Demand. It looks like this. I will give you a swatch. It's kind of a purpley brown shade, and the reason that I have pan on this isn't necessarily because this is my favorite shade ever. I do really like it, but the reason I have pan is because that is the darkest brownie shade in this palette. This is kind of more of a purple, but I don't really have any dark browns because at least when I was buying all of these shadows from Colourpop, they didn't have any super rich dark brown singles on their website. They probably do now. They have expanded their range so much. Highly recommend the formula, but that's why there's so much pan on that. I don't know if I'll ever use it up one day, but I do enjoy it. I wish it was a darker shade. I kind of just pack it on my outer lid until it kind of becomes darker because there's so much of it, but that's why I have pan on that. And the other shade is the shade Issues. This was one of the first shadows I got from them. I can't remember if it was in the original launch or in the second launch. This is a swatch of it here. So it's a really, really, really light shade. I use it as a transition shade. It is almost my skin tone. So you almost can't see it, but what it does is when you're working with a lot of different shadows and you're kind of feeling like things are getting muddy, or you want to have something that's going to clean everything up without brightening your brow bone, that is what that shade is really, really nice for. It's also just a nice transition shade to lay down because you really don't see it, so it doesn't take away from any of the other shadows. It's just a nice base transition shade. And that was everything. That is everything I have hit pan on currently in my collection. Most of this stuff, if not everything, actually I think everything that is in this video I did not intentionally hit pan on. I just hit pan on because I use it. So that is everything. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!